Welcome to the Electric Rodeo, an adult toy megastore podcast about sex, pleasure, relationships, and everything in between. I'm your host, Emma Hewitt, a sex educator and sex toy enthusiast. Every episode, I take a deep dive into a fascinating new topic, talk to experts, and answer common sex questions. Because sex is normal, messy, pleasurable, intimidating, and a hell of a lot of fun. Let's take a ride. Just make sure you've got a comfy position for your face. You don't want to be on a hard surface or being like rammed into anything. Just
speak for yourself.
Well, it depends. I know. The person that asked the question about the aggressive sex is going to be like, what the hell? That's exactly what I want.
This is taking a turn.
I'm talking to Tash Bull from ATMS. She's the customer services team leader, a fellow sex toy enthusiast, and my wonderful guest from episode 8, Good Vibes Only. This time, she's joining me on the ATMS Hotline to answer all your sex and sex toy questions. We kick things off with the sex questions. These are a mixture of common questions that Tash and the customer service team get asked over and over, as well as some from our listeners. So thank you so much to all that responded to our survey. Y'all sent in some real good ones. We're talking about faking orgasms, prepping for anal sex, and discussing some seriously acrobatic sex positions. Then we answer your sex toy questions. We're talking about penis toys, vulva toys, pigging toys, and lube. Because if there's anything that you should be taking away from this podcast, it's that lube is your friend. But before we dive into all that good stuff, I asked Tash about the average ATMS customer. Who are they, and what are they looking for?
Oh, I don't think you can, really describe them all in one way. I would say, obviously, everyone's on a journey with their sex toys and their sex lives, which is awesome. I would say maybe one thing that ties them all together is they're all eager to learn, even if you've got kind of experienced people or people who are very new. You've always got people who are interested to hear our perspective or, what we have to say about toys, which is great. But yeah, we deal with a wide range of people, old, young, all the genders, however you want to paint it.
Are you ever shocked by the questions that people ask you, or are you fairly immune to things at this stage?
At this stage, I'd say yes, I am immune. I'm not so much shocked as amused sometimes. Yeah. I think when I first started, there are definitely a few curveballs that'll shock you, but you get used to it really quickly, and it's it's all a bit of fun.
I've had some great ones on the phone because I sit really close to Tash in the office, and so I get to hear her having a chat with all of these people. And some things that you get asked just really delight me. I just love it.
I often wonder what it sounds like hearing just my end of the conversation.
It's great because you can't hear the question itself, so you have to kind of guess what they might be asking about based on your response.
Yeah, I'm just like, there's just a pause and I'm like, yeah, so you could put it in your butt.
However, we don't recommend it. All right, let's get into some of our most asked questions. So we have split these into two sections. There'll be sex and there'll be sex toy related questions. And we're going to start with the sex ones. So first up, is it damaging to fake enjoying sex or to fake an orgasm? What do you think, Tash?
Yeah, I really like this question. I think it's a good thing to talk about. I do think it is damaging, particularly to your sex life and, your journey with sex. You want to be enjoying yourself and you should be empowered to speak up for yourself, and you should be having sex with people you feel comfortable enough telling them, hey, I prefer this or I don't really like that. So I think if you're not in a position where you can communicate with people, or potentially you're with someone who you don't feel comfortable communicating effectively with, then I think it is ultimately a bit damaging.
Yeah, because you're just going to continue having average or bad sex too. If you're faking
no one deserves that.
You're not enjoying it. So It's just going to continue if they think you are. And you're ruining it for everyone else that has sex with that person after you as well.
Yes. Yes, because that person's going around thinking, I've just been hacking this one move and everyone seems to enjoy it, but in reality, no one's enjoying it.
Exactly.
Got to look out for the community.
Yeah, safer communities together. I feel like the answer to almost all sex questions is to learn to communicate what you want in bed with your partner.
Absolutely. I'm sure that'll be a running theme of this episode.
Yes. But don't turn off.
Yeah. If you're listening and you've got a glass of wine next to you, take a sip every time we talk about communication.
You will be wasted by the end. All right, question number 2 is how do I get my partner to be more aggressive during sex?
Yes. So there are a few different ways you can go about this. Also, might I add, great communication question. Obviously, the first thing is sit down and have a conversation with them, tell them what you're into. Obviously, that's not super easy for everyone to communicate that verbally. So a tip that I have is if you have seen something that you like in sex or a porn that you watch, and you're obviously in a relationship where you can comfortably share that with your partner and they're happy to see that, show them that video and say, hey, I really like this dynamic, or I really like the things that they said. And yeah, just kind of very aggressively hint that, let your partner know that that's what you're looking for.
I think the one other thing that you need to think about before you bring this up as well is like, what does aggressive sex actually mean? Because that term is going to mean completely different things to different people as well. So even the term aggressive might not mean the same thing to your partner as it does to you. So it's like, what are you talking about? Are you talking about slightly rougher sex? Are you talking about power play and full BDSM? Do you want to be a submissive role and your partner is in a more dominant role? Do you want to be tied up? There are all of these kind of different elements that I think come under the aggressive umbrella. So make sure you have that really clear yourself and don't expect that your partner's perspective is going to be the same as yours, because it could be completely different.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Yeah, because you don't want to be like, hey, I'd like you to be aggressive, and then you mean physically, and then they verbally degrade you, and you're like, hey, that hurt my feelings.
I've never liked your feet.
Rough.
No, that's really true, though. All right. How can I strengthen or get a tighter vagina? Okay, this is a common question. A tighter vagina is not really a thing. What you are probably talking about is how can I strengthen my PC muscles, which is the muscles of your pelvic floor. And it is really important to do this because those muscles control everything. They keep all your organs in place. They help you to not pee your pants.
Yep.
They help you, yes, as Tash will explain momentarily.
Yup.
But they do everything. They help to have stronger orgasms, and that is what is felt during penetrative sex. If you're having sex with someone with a penis, then it's those muscles contracting. So yes, strengthening them is a good thing. I just think some of the language around tighter vagina is a little bit negative, and it doesn't really do anything good for people. I think it's just a bad term. Let's not use that term anymore, everyone.
Yeah, I think wanting to strengthen your pelvic floor muscles is fantastic, and definitely do, like Emma said, do some research into the other benefits of that. Make sure you're doing it, for good reasons and not to kind of reinforce a negative stigma that's I need to have a quote-unquote tighter vagina, because that's coming from a negative place. But in terms of how to go about strengthening your pelvic floor muscles, Kegel balls are an absolutely fantastic toy or, tool to help with that. Mm-hmm. So you can get vibrating ones, which are obviously kind of more geared towards sex toys, or you can get ones that are manual, I suppose. So, they've got little jiggly balls in them.
Jiggle balls,
2 balls, and you can insert them, and they've got a little string. And yeah, I like to wear mine when I'm doing my laundry on the weekends. I don't really feel them. You get used to them pretty quickly. I know it seems like a weird experience, but you don't really feel it, and yeah, they're just doing a whole lot of work by themselves. I honestly, when I first got mine, I wore them once and I noticed a difference, and that's because I had issues with my bladder control, which I seem like I love talking about. I really need to pipe down about it, but hey, that's the truth. Yeah, after wearing them once, I immediately felt a difference, which was fantastic. Wow. And yeah, if you're on a budget or you're not necessarily wanting to invest in Kegel balls, you can still do Kegel exercises by yourself without tools. I know one popular one is when you go to the bathroom, if you are urinating and then you stop, physically stop the stream and clench that muscle, that's a really good way to exercise it. So there's lots of different things you can do.
Yeah. Function and fun. Don't you love it?
Putting the fun in function. Ew.
Trademark that. Now, someone has asked about anal. They would like to try anal. How can I prepare for cleanliness and ensuring that it's not too painful?
Well, dear listener, you've come to the right place because we have none other than the anal queen, Emma Hewitt, here to answer all of your questions.
I'm honestly never answering anyone's anal questions again because this name has been sticking around for too long and can I have something nice like the clitoral vibrator fairy?
I think anal queen's
That's
great.
lame. That's lame. Yeah, you're right.
Maybe go for like anal goddess. Like if you want to up the stakes, I don't think the anal part's the issue because you do love a bit of butt stuff.
Yeah, I want to be the anal goddess. You're quite right. Okay. That's good. That
right,
suits me.
Anal goddess Emma. They want to try anal. How do they prepare for cleanliness?
Well, there's a few steps. There's a few things. It's all about making sure that your body is feeling good and that mentally you are feeling comfortable and prepared. There's no like super strict rules. Like, actually, maybe the only super strict rule I would say is to like be aware of what you're eating in the lead up, like eating and drinking, because anal play is not usually something that you can just like dive on into at any point of the day or night. It does take a little bit of prep for most people. So if there's things that like mess with your stomach, do not eat that. Like, do not have like 10 coffees in the morning. Difficult, I know. Have some fiber. Have some vegetables.
Yeah, steer away from diuretics.
Yeah.
As a general rule.
And yeah, you can douche as well. So a douche is basically using a tool to insert some warm water up into your booty hole. You hold it in for a couple of seconds and then you basically let go and expel the liquid. And this just helps to like clean everything out. So you can do this once or twice as many times as you need to until the water that's coming back out runs clear. Now, this, again, is not an essential step, but it is something that does tend to make people feel a lot more comfortable with the whole situation. So do that about an hour in advance of the fun. You want to make sure that there's no water or anything left inside your body. So an hour should give you long enough for your body to kind of get itself back to normal after that. Have a shower, you know, clean yourself up. Get all warm and toasty and like comfortable because your body needs to be relaxed as well.
Yes,
so,
big one.
Yeah, we got the sphincters. We got 2 sphincters going on back there. One of them we have control over, the other one we do not. So we need to make sure that we are hella relaxed. We need to stimulate other parts of our body that make us feel good because if your body is not relaxed, your sphincter knows everything. Like your sphincter can tell if there is something nagging in your head, if you're not feeling comfortable, the sphincter knows and nothing's going in there. Yeah. You know, they're powerful muscles. So you also start with a finger. Do not dive in with like a big toy or a penis if you haven't done any kind of anal play before. And for the love of God, use so much lube.
So much lube.
More than you think you need, just like pile it in. You can get lubricant launchers, which I love. So these are little like syringes and you put lube in and then you can like inject it into the butt to make sure that it's like fully coated, which I think is just super fun.
Very fun.
What else? Oh, anal training kit.
Yeah, an anal training kit, you can generally purchase, you know, a kit that has 3 different sizes, gradually getting longer and girthier with each one. So you start with the skinniest one and work your way up. Those I couldn't recommend enough. It's just a good way to graduate upwards. And typically, like, in my experience at least, when I got my first butt plug, I just got one. I wish I'd gotten a kit because as soon as I got a small one, which is a great place to start, but as soon as I put it in, I was like, oh, I want to go to the next size, and I didn't have anything to work towards. But definitely if you're working towards anal sex, anal training kits are really, really good.
Yeah, they're amazing. Someone's also asked about how to prepare to be the receiver of some ass eating. And that's just like same as above. Yeah,
basically, I mean, assuming that you're the partner who will be eating the ass would like you to be nice and clean. Have a shower, make sure you're clean down there, you know, stick your ass up, get ready to have a good time. It's
gonna be great.
Yeah. Just know that it's gonna be great.
Just make sure you've got a comfy position for your face as well. You don't want to be on a hard surface or being like rammed into anything. Just
speak for yourself.
Well, it depends. I know. The person that asked the question about the aggressive sex is going to be like, what the hell? That's exactly what I want.
This is taking a turn.
Just use a cushion if you want to, is what I'm saying. Okay.
Good advice.
All right. This is a great question. How do I increase the amount of ejaculate? Luckily for me, I phoned a friend. My bestie Mel is a fertility expert, so she's dealing with the spermies and the ejaculate all day long. And if anyone knows the answer, it's Mel. And she did. So there are some supplements that may, and I say may, increase the amount of ejaculate. Apparently they're really popular in the porn industry, you know, for the old money shot. I don't know if they're safe. I don't know if they work. I am not recommending them. I am just saying that they exist because I do not want to get in trouble. I'm still being teased about the Tree Sappers Lube incident on episode 8.
Heavily. I am not letting her rest.
There will be no jokes made on this podcast and there will be no terrible supplement suggestions. This is not a pyramid scheme on Instagram, okay?
Safe.
She did actually have one recommendation that I will offer you, which is to just abstain from ejaculating for a little while. So the longer you go without doing it, the more there's going to be when you do.
Makes sense.
No wanking, no having sex for a couple of days and then big beautiful load.
Think of the big beautiful load that you'll get.
Just living the dream. Okay, next question. I know who sent this in, and I know they're taking the piss, but we're going to answer it anyway, because do you know what? It's a great question. You already know what's coming. So what is the sex position that sounds the most like a wrestling move?
Yes, so me and Emma both did some independent research on this one. So I've come back with 2 different options. I believe, the only actual sex position that is also the name of a wrestling move, and then I've got some ones that sound like them. So the one that I believe is both is called the screwdriver. So as a sex position, the receiver is on their hands and knees with their knees spread a little bit like doggy, but like spread a little bit wider. The person is kneeling behind them, kind of like in doggy, but the difference is that they put their leg over the receiver's hip. So I think it's just going in on like a harder angle, maybe asserting a bit more dominance. Looks pretty fun, not gonna lie, gonna give it a try. And then the wrestling move is different. It's literally dropping someone on their head. So depending what you're into, both reasonably fun.
Yeah.
And then I also took the liberty of downloading the PDF for 365 days of sex positions. And the 2 that I thought sounded the most like wrestling moves was Hug Me Honey, because dudes wrestling are basically just like hugging. Yeah. And the chairlift, because I'm pretty sure in wrestling, someone picks up a chair and swings it at someone at one point.
Oh, that's good, actually.
I quite like that one.
Yeah.
All right, what have you got?
I like the hugging too, because wrestling is very like homoerotic to me. And
yes.
I'm like, these guys just want to hug. Like they don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to talk to one another outside of the ring. So this is how they're getting their physical contact.
Yeah. Why do we fight?
We could just hug.
Let's just hug.
Okay, so mine is the Pinball Wizard, which I think sounds like a great wrestling move. Now, this one is receiver is on their back in like a classic like bridge position, so like a booty bridge.
Yeah.
So knees and shoulders on floor, hips and booty up in the air. And the penetrator is on their knees in between the thighs, and the hands are like working the clitoris like a DJ booth, which I think is why it's called the Pinball Wizard.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because they're like playing pinball with the clitoris.
Very cool.
And then the other one, which I
very
thought...
cool sex move.
Very cool. That's one for the nerds, the gaming nerds like you.
This one, hey! Well, yeah, okay. It's not an insult. I'm empowered.
The other one I thought was the pretzel dip.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Speaks for itself.
I mean, that one, they just imagine a pretzel, and that's the sex position. And I'd say that's the wrestling move.
Brilliant.
You know,
Need we
that's all
say
you
more?
need to know. No.
Look it up if you're genuinely curious to try it out, guys. Look it up and please let us know how it goes.
Yes. And tell us which one you think sounds the most like a wrestling move too.
Yeah, if we missed any out, please let us know.
Now, we're going to move in to the toy-specific questions, and people sent in a really great range of, like, questions about different products and different types of stimulation, so I'm very impressed with all of you. Mm-hmm. Now, the first question is one that's very near and dear to our hearts, which is, I have never owned a vibrator. What should I start with, or which is the best one? And I'm going to let you take that away, Tash.
Yeah, because, you know, I love to talk about vibrators. Assuming, because they've said they want a vibrator, this is for someone who has a vulva. Going for a great starter toy, I would either recommend just a standard bullet. You can get very cheap little battery operated ones, or if you want to invest, because you're going to love it anyway, you could splash a little more, get maybe one that's a little bit bigger, has a bit more power and is rechargeable, few more settings. Those are two good options. It's kind of like tiered, you know, I just want to try one that has one setting, or if you already kind of masturbate a bit and you're ready to take the next step, then I'd recommend going for a rechargeable one with a few different settings. Alternatively, if you like penetration, then I would recommend potentially going for a G-spot vibrator. My favorite at the moment is the Sheer Satisfaction Arc, so that's a G-spot vibrator, but I predominantly use it externally on my clitoris. So yeah, I think it's great if you want to try a bit of internal and external stimulation. G-spot vibrators are fantastic. They're just less pinpointed than bullets.
Yeah, quite fun though, eh? That I didn't think about using that toy externally. That's
Really?
a good idea. Yeah.
I have a beautiful mind.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do.
And which toys are great for solo and partnered play?
There are some great toys designed for partnered play. To think of some, a lot of those U-shaped vibrators.
Yeah.
I think, who does them? WeVibe, Satisfier, Sheer Satisfaction. Yeah, those little U-shaped ones, if you're having P and V sex, then they have a little bit that inserts into the vagina and then a bigger part that also vibrates on the outside that stimulates the clitoris, and then the little bit on the inside also stimulates the penis when it's entering. So that's a little bit of fun. Also, just like any clitoral toy you can use during penetrative sex, and you should. It is so fun.
Close the orgasm gap, friends. This
Period.
is a quick fire way to do it. I reckon like anything that fits into your hand, just like roll with it. That's great as a partnered toy. Like
Yeah.
bullet vibe. Ooh, finger vibes.
Oh yeah, finger vibes.
They're like a bullet basically, and then they have a little strap that goes around your finger. It basically turns you into the vibrator. Like anywhere your finger goes, vibration goes. It's amazing.
Yes, fantastic. Or just a vibrating cock ring if you're kind of coming from the angle. If you have a penis and you want to use it for solo or partnered use, when you use it with a partner, if you have one that vibrates, then that will stimulate them. But also you can use it with or without the vibrator for yourself and get all the lovely benefits of wearing a cock ring anyway.
And some of the vibrating ones too. If you're playing by yourself, you can flick the vibrating bit around and tickle your balls with it.
Yes, that's such a good hack. I forget about that.
Now, someone has also asked, my vagina is very sensitive to certain lubes. Do you have any that you would recommend? And I'm going to run with this because I feel you on this. I, too, have a very discerning vagina. I have tried many lubes in my time to try and find the perfect ones. I do have a few suggestions for you. I will, till the day I die, recommend Uberlube. If you are able to use a silicone lube, then I think that you should.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing. It's super silky. It's really long lasting. It comes in this really cute little glass bottle, which looks really nice. It doesn't look like an obvious lube as well, so you can actually just keep it by the bed or wherever. And, you know, it's just like a really nice design and an amazing product. Now, I know that not everyone can use silicone lube or is wary of using them with silicone toys. So if you are looking for something water-based, it does get a little bit more difficult, and that's just because water-based lubricants have a lot more ingredients. So what I always recommend with any kind of water-based lube is that the fewer ingredients that are in it is basically the better. And there are a few that you definitely want to avoid. So No glycerin, because that's a sugar and it can cause yeast infections for some people. Anything with parabens and anything with propylene glycol, as that can dry you out long term, which does tend to cause irritation for people that already have sensitive skin. And of course, anything that's like warming, cooling, or stimulating, those active ingredients are probably going to set you off as well. So I would avoid those too. So if you are looking for something, 2 that I would recommend is the Intimate Earth Hydra, which is just a classic water-based lube, and also the Love Lube non-flavored water-based. So this is a Kiwi company, which is always like, yes, sponsor local. And again, it's a really nice, simple lube that shouldn't cause irritation to sensitive skin.
Yes, very nice. Very good advice.
Now, people are asking about penis toys, which I love. So someone has asked just what are some good toys for those with a penis? And in particular, they would like some that are cheap, but they're more exciting than just a cock ring.
Great question. If you're looking for cheap masturbators, there's always some really good options in the likes of masturbator eggs and masturbator sleeves. Pop by Sheer Satisfaction and Tenga both do masturbator eggs that we sell, and it's like the sex toy version of a Kinder Egg. It's got a cute little colourful container. Pop it open, there's a little stretchy silicone sleeve, and it's textured on the inside, and a little sachet of lube. Squirt the lube in there, and then you use that to masturbate. They look really small, but they're very stretchy. I think if you have more lubricant, because you don't want to use it without lubricant, you can get like a good, I'd say, 5 to 7 uses out of it, assuming you are cleaning it with water between uses and leaving it to dry and then storing it away. You have to take good care of it, but it's not a toy you can keep for more than, a handful of uses.
Yeah, I think those are amazing. And some of the other styles that are kind of similar to that as well. So there's also like open sleeves, which is kind of like a rectangle of silicone that you hold in your hand, and then you just kind of wrap your hand around your penis with that inside it. And so those come in lots of different textures, and in some cases the silicone ones will actually be a lot longer lasting than those eggs, and that's just because of the form of them and the fact that they can be made a little bit thicker. So those are really cool too. Again, you're just going to need heaps of lube with that.
Yeah.
And also cock rings are great.
Yeah. Let's not be downing on cock rings.
Yeah. I mean, look, the next question is, what are the benefits of cock rings? Is metal or silicone better? So let's talk about the bennies of cock rings, because they're awesome.
Absolutely. Cock rings are an awesome starter sex toy. If you have a penis, you can get little packs of 3 of them, similar to the anal training kits where they graduate in size. You can wear them in lots of different fashionable ways. You can wear one around your shaft. You can wear one around your shaft and balls. You can just wear one around your balls. There's lots of different ways to wear them.
Yeah, and what's great about them is that they feel good to wear, but they also have like a lot of great uses. So wearing a cock ring can help you to maintain an erection for longer. They can make your erection feel harder because they trap all the blood inside. And if you're wearing one around your balls, then they can help you to actually last longer before you reach orgasm, because they stop your balls from retracting up inside the body, which is what occurs when orgasm occurs, so that can actually slow that whole process down. And of course, if it's vibrating, it feels good for your partner too. They're like a push-up bra for the penis.
Oh my God, that's so true.
Yeah, because it also feels really different. If you, like, my partner is wearing a cock ring when we have sex, it feels entirely different
to
when he's not.
Yeah. And in terms of, is metal or silicone better? Neither is better, except unless you're looking at it from like the perspective of you haven't tried one before. Definitely don't start with metal, start with silicone. Like I said, try the different positions, see what you're happy with. But metal is still fantastic. The one thing you just have to be mindful of is that when you're putting on a metal cock ring, you have to be flaccid and then put it on and then get erect. And I think you said, Emma, like sometimes there can be scenarios where if your erection doesn't go down, then some people might get a little nervous.
Yeah, because you also have to be completely flaccid to get it off again.
Yeah.
And for some people, that happens quite quickly after they orgasm. For others, it doesn't. And if you've got a metal cock ring stuck on your dick, like, that's quite scary, I think.
Yeah.
You know, like, I understand the anxiety around that. So if you are new, just stick with silicone. You can stretch it. You can bing it open and pop it off. Like, there's no real fear around that. So yeah, silicone first, move into metal when you know what you're doing.
Fab.
Now, someone's actually asked about toys to help with any kind of erectile dysfunction. So we've kind of talked a little bit about like maintaining an erection with cock rings. In terms of achieving an erection, I think the best thing probably for you, although do talk to your doctor first before you try this, but is a penis pump. This is just like a vacuum pump. It helps to get you erect. It helps to get the blood flow flowing into the penis. And once you've done that, if you pop a cock ring on, that should help you with both maintaining and achieving the erection as well.
Yeah, and there's a few different types of penis pumps that you can use. There's like hydro ones that use water. There's a lot of like fascinating stuff that goes into it. So if you are genuinely interested, Emma has a really good video talking about the different types of penis pumps. That's very informative.
The one other thing that I would also suggest if you're looking for something to help you achieve an erection and you're not interested in using a penis pump would be to have a look at the Pulse masturbator by Hot Octopus. So this toy actually has an oscillating plate in it. Oscillation just means rather than vibration, the plate moves up and down really, really quickly, and it stimulates your body that way. And it's actually very well known for helping people to achieve an erection. The other good thing about that toy is that you can use it as a masturbator regardless of if your penis is flaccid or erect too. So it's a really nice option for people that struggle with erections or can't get an erection at all.
There is always an option.
Always an option. Never give up. The next one we have is what are some good prostate toys?
Ooh. Now, I myself do not have a prostate, unfortunately.
Very sad.
However, my understanding is that anything that vibrates feels pretty good. So you could look into vibrating butt plugs, or there are prostate toys that are generally quite curved. Emma will know a bit more. I'm just making Captain Hook hands at the screen for no reason.
Hey, they're really accurate. Yeah, so your prostate is inside your butthole, and it's basically kind of a little bit in and on the front wall. So toys with a nice curved tip or quite a nice bulbous tip tend to work really well to stimulate the area. So it responds really well to vibration, but it also really enjoys like direct massage. And so a toy with one of those shapes can really help to massage that area. And the other thing that you can do if you don't want to go through the butthole is you can actually access the prostate externally as well. It's obviously a little less intense because you're basically touching the area indirectly. But if you apply pressure to the perineum, then you can actually access the prostate that way too. So you do need to be quite firm. Start with your fingers. There are some toys that will have both an internal and an external prostate massage piece on it. So those are really cool too. I definitely recommend looking at some of those styles. Now, someone has asked about pegging. They want to know what the best harnesses and attachments for strap-on sex are.
Woohoo. So myself and Emma tragically do not have any experience in this area. So I had a chat with my sister Caitlin and her girlfriend Jenny, so shout out to them, and got some advice from them. Obviously, traditionally, pegging is a cis woman penetrating a cis man, I believe, but we're just going to talk about general strap-on toys, and we've obviously gotten advice from two cis women on that. If you are new to it, there are lots of different harness styles that you can use. There are more kind of bondage, fetish-looking harnesses. If you're not necessarily sure what to go for, a really cool starter one would be from the MX range by Sports Sheets. So they are all gender non-specific. They have a few different styles of underwear, some crotchless, some just like that genuinely just look like boxer brief undies, which is really cool.
They're cool.
And yeah, they're really cute, and they've obviously got the little harness ring hole for a dildo, and you can kind of mix and match your favorite dildo into there as long as it fits the hole correctly. I know that Tantus dildos work really well with those ones. That's what they use. Tantus has lots of different ones. It's a really high quality brand for particularly non-anatomical dildos. Some definitely some that are very non-anatomical. There are some that look like chess pieces, but they're all like really high quality silicone. They have some like super soft silicone ones, so those are really great brands that I would recommend to start with. Do you have any other brands or products you can think of, Em?
The Sports Sheets range has really nice beginner dildos as well.
Yes, that's right.
They have some relatively like plain ones, so a little bit of curve on the end, but nothing too textured or like nothing too big as well, which is quite nice for people that are new to that kind of play, especially if you are using a strap-on anally. It can obviously be a little bit more intimidating. So if you're new, I would recommend going for something smooth over texture, because that can be like a whole different sensation inside the body. So the next part of that question actually is what could stimulate her at the same time while she uses it on me. So they're looking for internal or external options, so meaning clitoral or vaginal.
Yeah, so there are a few different options. Like I said, with underwear style harnesses, you can get a separate toy, which is really cool. There's, off the top of my head, I can think of the Satisfyer Sexy Secret. So those are designed to be panty vibrators. So there's a bit that goes inside facing your vulva, and then there's a little magnet that goes on the outside of your undies and keeps it in place, and then it's app controlled or remote controlled. So that's something you can wear with an underwear harness to get your own stimulation while you are penetrating your partner. Alternatively, there's also strapless strap-ons, which as the name suggests, basically they have an internal part that you latch onto with your super strong pelvic floor muscles, because you took Tash's advice and got some Kegels. And yeah, you basically hold on to it with your pelvic floor muscles and you penetrate your partner that way. They, according to my sister and her partner, that's definitely more of an adjustment, and obviously it's a bit harder, there's a bit less control, which makes sense. Like, so you can actually buy a strapless strap-on and still use it with a harness, and that way you're still getting that internal stimulation as the person who is wearing it, but still have a bit more control, which is really great.
Yeah, that's a super good idea, actually. Because I've heard from some people that can be quite hard to hold in place when you're also, like, trying to, like, penetrate another body, too.
If you're trying to go hands-free.
The one other thing that I would suggest for internal as well is to get, like, a vibrating egg with a remote control, because then you can just pop that in, chuck the harness over top and go to town.
Yes.
And then you got the little remote control. So your partner can be in charge of that, or you can be, like, hands up top, penetrating down the bottom.
Penetrating, get my vibe on, find the right setting.
Yeah.
Switching up the music.
Get one that can, like, their vibrations will, like, match the song beat, because those are really cool.
Those are very fun.
Okay, Tash, you're going to love this question. I want to buy lingerie for my partner. What should I get?
What a wonderful question. I used to manage Bend On Lingerie, so I have many years experience helping people buy their partner's lingerie. The number one advice, which everyone in the office I would hope knows, because they've heard me say this to every man, woman, gender non-conforming person who has called up and wants to buy lingerie for their partner, get their size. And I know that this can be potentially a conversation you don't want to have. You want it to be a nice, sexy surprise. That's fine. But get their size. Do not guess, because it takes very little. And I know this from having people come back and return lingerie. It takes very little for a nice, sexy present to turn into conflict. Because, you know, you got the size wrong, too small, partner doesn't feel great, too big, they've taken offense at that. So, you know, if you guys have just had a fun time and their bra's on the floor, you know, pick it up, take a quick peek at the tag. It should be a number and a letter. Maybe snap a quick photo if they're not paying attention, and then hand it to them. So, you know, you've just done a nice chivalrous act. Here's your bra, my love. But you've also got the size, and then just have a look online and find something in the right size. Go for reputable brands. If you're not super confident on size, try and find something with a little bit of stretch in it, a little bit of spandex, never hurt anyone. And yeah, pay attention to what they currently wear. If your partner always wears push-up bras, probably they don't want, a wireless, very thin material bralette. They, get them a push-up bra that has a bit of difference, a set with a garter belt, for example, just to throw something out there. And same goes both ways. If they normally wear wire-free bras, they're probably not going to feel very sexy with a wire. So just pay attention to those things and yeah, have some fun with it.
Colour too. Think about the colours and the patterns that they wear already.
Yeah.
Because people can be quite picky about colour. I am
with my skin tone. I can't wear light pink because I'm very pink. It just looks like a really bad nude shade on me.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. Just go with something that they like. No risks. Take no risks. Okay, our final question is, what are the basic essentials for starting bondage play? What a great question.
BDSM. Good for you.
Yay!
It depends what you are into. If you're into like sensory play, are you wanting to not be able to see? Do you want to be tied up? Consider, or your partner, obviously. Definitely have a chat with your partner and see what you guys are both into. I think, the basics are blindfolds, a nice pair of cuffs. My biggest advice with restraints is if you don't know how to tie proper knots, don't go for rope or silk ties to start with. And if you are buying cuffs, be mindful with like metal handcuffs. They're very fun, and that's kind of like the very typical handcuffs, woohoo, handcuff me to the headboard. I mean, we all love a bit of, well, I love a bit of that. I will not speak for everyone. But be mindful with handcuffs, even if they are fur-lined, that they have a bit of bite. It's metal and it hurts a little bit. So if you don't want pain to kind of be a factor, if you just want to be restrained but not in pain, go for a nice pair of plush, more fabric cuffs that have like metal joiners. If you're kind of into the aspect of like a little bit of pain, handcuffs are great. But just be really mindful of that, because when I first bought myself and my partner handcuffs, I didn't think of that, and I was a bit surprised by the pain aspect. I've definitely come around to it now, and it's part of it that I enjoy, but it did catch me off guard a little bit.
Yeah, metal will dig into your skin. There's no getting around that.
Yeah.
And I think also, like, if you're wanting to get started with some, like, impact play, if that's kind of what you're into, learn about the tools and what they are, because the sting level of impact toys is very different from the type of tool that you're using. So start with your hand, because you can both feel that sensation and you can understand how light or how heavy you are going and alter it based on what your partner is telling you feels good. And then from there, I would probably go up to something like a paddle first, because that is basically just a replica of your hand. So paddles feel very similar to spanking from a hand. They are quite big and flat. Anything like a crop or a bullwhip is going to freaking sting. So the wider the area, the less intense it feels. So if you're going with something really small, that is going to be the most intense kind of toy that you can get. Yeah. And I get it, because man, they make a fun sound. Like the slap of a crop is like a very, very satisfying sound to me.
Yeah. We had a pile of crops sitting in the office, and one Friday a bunch of us got a bit carried away, like slapping each other's thighs, like trying to get some satisfying bruises and like getting some thwack noises. It's fun for everyone.
It was pretty intense. A few people had some serious bruising going on.
I was a little too into it.
It's the sound, eh? It really, like, pulls you into it.
Yeah.
So I get it, but, like, work your way up, please. Safety doesn't take a holiday. All right, Tash, thank you so much for joining me again. I'm sure that everyone that sent in some questions will be super happy to hear your expertise and your fabulous answers.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me again. It was fabulous as usual.
Oh, always a pleasure. You've been listening to the Electric Rodeo podcast for Adult Toy Megastore, produced by Sound Cartel. Follow Electric Rodeo free on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And for more sex and relationships explained, follow @Electric Rodeo Podcast on Instagram.